There's no T1000. There's no T800. Cyberdyne Systems Model 101.
David, are you trying to build an expectation in the audience that you're just going to have a different movie character voice every time we start an episode?
Maybe it's my slow grow to fame. You don't want to get too famous too quickly.
You're right. We're still young in the podcast game. We're still workshopping ideas.
We're still trying to figure it out.
Feedback from the loyal listeners.
Got to get shopping now. But see, like, Arnold doesn't count because everybody can do Arnold. We need voila.
And you can't do like 8 different. You got to pick a movie and stick with it.
He's done like
per impression.
No, that's not true.
Yeah,
that's not true. He's the same character in every movie. I have detailed files.
All right, I don't know.
That's Judgment Day, son. That's Terminator 2.
Maybe I just need...
Possibly the best Terminator.
Maybe I need a little more focus for my impressions.
Okay.
Give me one movie, a couple lines from that movie, and then quit talking about Arnold. We're talking like you are Arnold.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'm not asking for it now. I'm just saying that as a general principle.
Come with me if you want to live. You know.
I feel like you're on the 6th movie. Anyway.
That's Judgment Day again, son. What's your dog's name? I think, what was his name? Was it Ralph or some bullshit like that? I hear Wolfie barking. Is something wrong? Wolfie's fine, honey. Wolfie's fine. When are you coming home? Click. Your foster parents are dead. Shit.
All right. Well, with that being said, are we ready to jump into this episode?
No, I thought we were going to talk about aliens. I thought that was the pre-roll banter.
This was the pre-roll banter. Are we ready
I thought we were enjoying ourselves and being like from the future.
We'll give them some bonus content later where we enjoy being ourselves more.
Some boner content?
Jesus. Can we jump in?
If you want to. All God. Right, hold on. I don't even have a swimsuit on.
Welcome to Weapons of Meme Destruction Podcast, episode 46, which can be found at wmdpodcast.com/46. Don't give me too much credit. I literally just looked it up while you were doing your last one.
That's what you're doing on your phone, you pieces.
So, episode 46, find it at the website, but also find it on YouTube, any podcast catcher you want, Spotify, iTunes, etc., etc. And link up with us on all our socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok.
Smash that like button, son.
Exactly. And I know we talked about this like 10 episodes, but I think it's actually getting close to actually happening.
Fruition, as some people would call
merch on the website. For starters, we're just going to have shirts, red, black, and white. But, you know, we'll get into other.
We're becoming mercenaries.
Yeah, other merchandise as we go. So keep a lookout for a merch tab popping up on that website, wmdpodcast.com. And with that, let's get started. David, what are we talking about today? I forgot.
That thing that happened, that it was really important that we talk about.
Yes, we're rich.
Yeah.
We are rich moon apes.
Yep, this is the last episode of Weapons of Meme Destruction. We're going to go buy yachts and travel the great unknown.
One of two things is about to happen with Weapons of Meme Destruction. It is either about to cease to exist, because we're just going to go retire to some island.
Into the red.
Or, no, not plunge further in the red, seriously upgrade.
Oh,
I mean, with its own studio and everything. So
we're too big to fail right now? Is that what we're saying? AMC is too big to fail? Okay, good.
Yes, you may have gathered. You know what? Well. You know what? We decided that America was getting a little too crazy. And, you know, we don't always want to talk about the craziness that we live in.
Let's just have a little fun.
The AMC is crazy. But
let's go a little lighthearted.
I wanted to have a good time. And listen, we're in high spirits because we're on the right side of things for once in our lives. Our miserable lives.
Well, you know what happens, Dane.
And right David when you think David's been drug along, kicking and
right
screaming.
When you think you're on the right side of things, that's when you get the abrupt, departure from your fantasy into reality.
Yes.
So let's keep ducking and weaving.
As
keep
you can tell,
jiving.
David is the
Consummate
optimist in the
cynicist.
group.
Consummate cynicist.
Anyway,
even though can I get a little credit that ever since I've been in it, it's gone nowhere but north?
That is true.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That is true. That is true. David, do we want to? Do you care to disclose your position?
No, I don't want to disclose my position.
Not the size of it, but just like your
when I went in. When I got in, it was just above 9.
Yeah.
And then since I've been in, knock on wood,
$9.09. This guy is his average price in.
Yeah,
it's his only price in. Bottom all at once.
Yeah, it's like I'm in.
And I believe my my advice to him at the time was, well, if you want in, get in now, because I don't know when it's going to go up, if ever, but it ain't going to go much lower than this for a while. So you got that going for you.
Sure words were never spoken. So I'm sitting here flying high with all you sorry sods that bought in at 43 or whatever the hell you did.
Hey, but no, listen. 1 share or 1 million shares?
Don't matter.
Every holder is an ape.
And
what
do they call it?
You know what, David?
Hodl?
It is our duty. It is our duty as early entrants.
It's our poopy.
With low price averages. It is our duty to hold, because if we don't hold, then the moon doesn't, or the rocket doesn't get up high enough to pick up the 43s.
I'm not. You know what? I started buying in for the moon. So you know what? I want to go interplanetary at this point. I want to shove this thing so far up Uranus that it goes through into Andromeda. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. Because these guys, again, if you remember back, what episode did we talk about this on? Do you have any idea? Because I don't.
I can look it up if you just keep talking.
I'll keep yammering because that seems to be my only superpower here. But I remember I was trying to coin the phrase protestment. It was an investment made out of protest, which was that finally, on some battlefield, the people that were writing all the rules to keep the have-nots still having not and down where they thought that they should be were finally caught with their little pantaloons down around their ankles. And this was the perfect time to give a big old middle finger to those people that have been running the show for so long. And I was like, you know what? I put it off because I didn't want to just buy in from the hype or the fear of missing out, otherwise known as FOMO. But I wanted to make the right investment for the right reason. And that is why I jumped in when I did. Dane, what episode was that?
29, 39, and 42 we have discussed.
Holy
AMC.
crap.
29 was the original squeeze back in January. And then 39 and 42 were just kind of like related things.
I bet 42 was probably the one where I went protestment.
Possibly. I know 39 was the one where, I made the point that people that cheat the system are actually worse than full-blown communists because they're cheating of the quote-unquote
at least they're letting
free
you
market
know.
system. Their rigging of it in their favor is what gives the best argument to the commies to say this is why we can't trust private individuals, kind of thing. So yes, that was episode 39, and then 42 was I forgot.
So Dane,
but
are we getting into the intricacies of this, or are we going subcutaneous?
No, we're going with a macro level thought that I was having because I thought we could just sit here and go tink and celebrate and be happy.
Well, we haven't got there yet. So
or
the launch pad is ready, but we haven't even shuttled it out.
Or I could pull all of the fun out of it and have a teachable moment about the AMC revolution as a way.
You know what, Dane?
The ape revolution.
I know how you plan. And the thing that you think is going to be the most fun
I didn't say it was going to be fun. I said I'm going to zap all the fun out of the episode.
Hold on. No. Listen to me. The thing that you think is going to be the better avenue is usually the avenue that is like the most dry and banal. And the thing that you think isn't going to be the most fun, you have no faith in your co-host to make it a little colorful, a little blue outside the lines, so to speak. So let's go with what you think is going to be droll, and let me try to spice it up a little bit with some Latin seasonings.
All right.
Is that cultural appropriation? I hope I didn't culturally appropriate.
Is. You're canceled.
Oh.
So here was my thought. I was thinking about a book by F.A. Hayek that was published like late 80s, like 88.
That's so crazy. I was too.
I
F.A.
know, right?
Hayek. Yeah. Dude, love the dude.
And he wrote a book titled Fatal Conceit. And I'm not going to get into the deep, economic analysis and all that kind of stuff, but very macro level view, one of the main big political socioeconomic questions of the 20th century is what is better for a large economy or just human beings in general? A centralized planning board of experts, right? Where they are the experts, right? So they know everything and they know what needs to go where and in how much quantities and all that kind of stuff. Or a more decentralized way of allocating resources, such as a free market, even if it's only nominally free. And Hayek's point, and the reason why it's called the fatal conceit, is the people that staff the expert boards are so convinced of their expertness that not only are they no match for the dispersed knowledge in the economy in terms of the most efficient allocation of resources, but when their plans go wrong, they are built to not ever recognize it because they're the experts. So if our plans are going wrong, it's because the stupid rubes aren't listening to what we told them to do. So it's this vicious loop of central command, and that's why these economies fail, where the experts aren't even as good as the dispersed knowledge of the market, but they have so much hubris and arrogance in them being the experts that they'll never acknowledge it enough to fix it when things go awry, and that's why it becomes this downward spiral into oblivion. And there is a direct correlation between that point and AMC, and we're going to make it on this episode. Are you sufficiently bored to death, David? Go.
I thought I could pull this one out.
You have your work cut out for you.
Making
this one
you
interesting
drove this
funny.
one real down to the bunker.
I told you.
All I'm going to say is that I agree with everything, even though I'm completely confused by what he said. However, it makes total sense. Go ahead.
It might make more sense since you have skin in the game of AMC. And I would imagine some of our listeners do too, and that's why I wanted to make this connection, because it'll make more sense.
Well, I mean, it's weird because whenever you have this, like, conspiracy theory notion, like, I don't think everything's working the way it should. And everyone looks at you and goes, dude, come on. Are you really going to go down that road? Are you really going to think that aliens are out there? You're really going to think that...
You really want to talk about aliens this episode,
You messed this up, Dane. That was supposed to be the pre-roll banter, and you let me get off into a Terminator tangent.
There was too much Terminator.
Terminator tangent. Hashtag Terminator tangent.
Anyway.
Don't
get yourself off track.
I totally just did.
I know
right
you
there.
did.
Like, I want to go back into Terminator now. All I'm going to say is that AMC was a theater that had at one time Terminator and Terminator 2 playing in it at the same time. So
that's your grand reveal. That's the conclusion.
So they can't be wrong, is all I'm going to say. It's like, if they played those two great movies, then it's obviously got to be a stock worth buying. But what I will say is, like, the conspiracy theory thing is, like, it's always, like, crazy. Like, you're always a nut until it comes out that Operation Paperclip was actually a thing where, CIA was dosing each other with LSD just to see what had happened.
That was MK Ultra.
That's what I know it was. Jesus, Louise, there's multiple different ones. Like, it's always a conspiracy theory until, like,
I thought you were saying that was Paperclip.
No. I'm sorry. Yes, thank you for drawing the line between the two. But no, that, like, it's always a conspiracy theory until, like, oh yeah, well, that was totally...
Until it's a conspiracy fact.
Until it's a fact. And it was like, yeah, well, everybody knew that. Like, no, you did. You piece of shit bandwagoners. Like, you knew what you were making me feel like a jackass until...
David, in true David fashion, you have completely brought up an amazing point that just enriches...
I did that on purpose.
...the learning experience of this episode.
That AMC played both Terminator and Terminator 2, so, like, it can't fail. It's too big to fail at this point.
Don't let him self-deprecate too much. His point about the whole conspiracy theory and da-da-da, right? So if, he used the government points, MK Ultra, Operation Paperclip, Operation Mockingbird, just go down the list. Now, somebody might say the same thing to AMC apes, like yours truly. And they might say, oh, you stupid, smooth brains. Like every time the stock goes down, you guys just claim manipulation, when it could just be other retail people trading and all this kind of stuff. Basically, you're seeing, you're seeing things, or you're constantly making excuses for why you're wrong and all that kind of stuff. And maybe those are valid objections. Maybe we are just making excuses because we really don't understand the intricacies of everything that goes on with Wall Street. Maybe. We're not 40-year hedge fund managers, so we don't have access to the same experience and information that the people that are up against, the retail trader have. All right, fine. But what if we turn out to be right? Like, what if all of the due diligence that, again, going back to Hayek's example, what if all the due diligence that the dispersed knowledge within the market, you have 3.2 million individual AMC shareholders. I'll bet you somewhere in that 3.2, there's some pretty smart people. I bet you there's probably some people who worked on Wall Street. I'll bet you there's some people that, have access to certain information. I'll bet you there's all kinds of people mixed throughout that group of 3.2 million. They might have some good points that point us in the right direction.
Come on. They don't have control over the media to tell you which stocks to buy and which stocks to get out of. And if they did, they definitely wouldn't use it to their own advantage to get some people that were kind of teeter-tottering or following their expert analysis to de-invest into the stocks that they think that are going to short, or to invest in the stocks that are going to go long. They wouldn't do that. You know what? They have the power and they're altruistic.
And I by you giving that surface level explanation, it just reminded me, I haven't given the bare bones of, and I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty of the numbers and all that kind of stuff, but of the bare bones of like what the ape thesis is versus what the short seller thesis is. Because the apes are saying, listen, we think there's some fraudulence, there's some corruption, there's some cheating going on in the market. We think that hedge funds, in the efforts to keep a sale price down, are trading fake shares that they have created with short positions on shares they didn't own. They were naked short selling. And they've artificially, just like a counterfeiter does with the money supply, that's your best example, just like a counterfeiter does. Why are they bad? Same reason, a naked short seller is putting more shares on the market and trading them than actually exist. Extra supply decreases demand. You have a suppressed share price. So that is illegal. Naked short selling is illegal. So the ape thesis is, not only are you as short as we see you are in the disclosed numbers, we think you're way more short than that because of all these fake shares that you've created.
Dane, you're being so conspiratorial right now. It's not like this happened in the housing.
Let me finish it.
In the housing market in 2008. Oh, I thought
I was almost done. I was only done with
I'm
half
sorry.
of it.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So that's the ape thesis. And then the other one's a lot shorter. So don't worry. Then back over to you. The short thesis from, Rich Greenfield is kind of the poster boy. He has a 1 cent price target on AMC. Somebody call Rich and revoke his access to the roof. Anyway, they say it's all fundamentals. Company has a ton of debt. Debt's not structured. Well, they're probably not going to earn a profit because everybody's watching movies at home now. They don't want to go back to the big screen. They have this elaborate fundamental analysis, and they may be right. Fundamentally speaking, maybe AMC is crap and it should be 1 cent a share. That's not why we're in the play. You buy Amazon if you want a strong company with high revenue. You buy AMC if you think there's fraudulent corruption and everything else seedy and underhanded going on the market, and you're looking around at the government, and I saw a news article on this last week. They did an internal investigation at the SEC, and they found that a lot of and high level employees at the SEC are spending time watching porn all week while they're at work. There is blatant, literal corruption going on that even a bunch of stupid retail traders can see, and the SEC is busy watching porn.
I'm gonna retract. I'm gonna sell all my shares right now.
I figure if you can't make something funny out of this, we're in trouble.
I appreciate what they're doing over there at the SEC. I feel like they're a stand-up organization and that they need to be heralded as such. However, hearkening back to what I was trying to apparently cut off Dane with, is that it's not like they've done this in any other aspect of our lives before, or with any other aspect of our lives that we might remember, i.e., the housing market crisis of 2008. This sounds not so far removed from what they were doing with the mortgages. They were getting people in houses with interest levels that were out of their range. They were getting people in houses that they couldn't afford and giving them loans that they couldn't pay off and bundling them and selling them off to other conglomerates to hedge the fund. Like it's this weird thing where they think that they can just make it go away by making it more complicated. It's like if you've ever tried to untie a fishing knot, like the harder you try, the more loops you start adding to it, the more frustrated you get, the quicker you start going, the more knots you put into it, the more contrived it gets, but it only makes the matter worse is that you're going to have to cut the line anyway. You're going to have to cut the line. But the more knots you put into that line tells you how much less line you're going to have at the end of your reel. And that's what we're at right now. These guys keep putting more and more knots into this line, and all we have to do to make them pay is be lazy. We just have to not sell. We have to not sell until we're like, okay, that's enough blood. Keep tying the noose. Keep tying the noose. Add another knot. Add another knot. Add another knot. But don't think that we're doing it out of blind luck. Like this is the game they've been playing for so long, and everyone's been following their Pied Piper tune until now. Like now, and we had this discussion on a telephone call not too long ago. It's like their short-sightedness of realizing that people don't follow the normal media that all of America has been following for so long. The fact that the meme culture, i.e., the reason we named this podcast what we did, the meme culture is taking over. We're not going for the television bought and paid for media news sources anymore. We're going for our own news sources, and we can create and cultivate a lot more sources and pile them all together and come up with our own conclusions. Or if we don't have enough time, we can follow people that we actually identify with and trust their input into whatever given situation that we're talking about in any given subject. So there's more, I would argue that there's more, what would you call that? Journalistic endeavor within a normal 9gag, Reddit, 4chan, whatever, postmaster than there is arguably within any given reporter on CNN or Fox or MSNBC.
Listen, I was just looking for a dick joke from the SEC porn headline.
Did I accidentally go real?
You did. You switched.
Wolf Blitzer is a monotoned, furry face.
Anyway, let me make a correction here. So, the date on that article is actually April 23rd, 2010. So, can I say definitively that the current SEC employees are on porn sites, instead of actually investigating, these hedge funds for malfeasance? I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But I know that in the last build-up from the previous crisis, the one that David was talking about earlier, they were doing it then. Dang. I don't see them necessarily hiring any higher caliber of people to staff the SEC now.
How do you get hired at the SEC? Because I feel like I'm uniquely qualified for that position.
I don't know. That's disturbing.
No. We all do it. We're all humans.
I'm pretty sure your application has something to do with a black leather couch in a small room.
Who walks out of the door, Dane?
I don't know. You'll never know.
Oh boy.
I guess until it's too late.
Yeah.
Then you'll wish you didn't know. Okay.
I want to see the reels where like the chicks are like, no, this isn't what I'm into. I'm out of here. I want to see all those reels, like the ones that made the better decision. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Oh God, I should not have led you down that path.
Yeah, you kind of softballed it in there for me.
Yeah, I messed up. So
softball.
So, to the point about not only the dispersed knowledge, but I do want to weave that in with the point that David's making about it is a cultural phenomenon at this point, complete with its own lingo, its own terms of endearment, its own, rituals, its own kind of everything. Like it is when apes call it a movement, it is a movement. And it has its own meaning behind all kinds of things. And the experts, tracking back to the Hayek example, not only do they not know that stuff, you'll see them struggle through it on CNBC or something. They'll say, the apes say they're da-da-da-da-da. Like, but if you were to have them come on our message boards and really understand what we're saying half the time, they're not a part of it like that. And the thing is, they don't care to be, right? Because they're not speaking to us. We are the dumb money, and they're the smart money. They have all the connections, they have all the information, they have all the knowledge, and we're dumb money. That's why we've taken on the moniker of apes and why we call ourselves smooth brains. And that's why episode 29 was, Reddit retards or whatever, because they've co-opted all these negative names against us. We're dumb, we're stupid, we don't know what we're doing. And we've co-opted them and said, nope, we own those
Basically,
now. We are stupid. And stupid money just took about $3 billion from the smart money this week.
Basically, what they're saying is, guys, we're trying to teach you how the system works. And how the system works is you do what we tell you to, and you gain a small portion of financial gain while we gain the majority of financial gain from how this system works. And you accept that and keep going along the same lines and don't expect a fair equivalency in outcomes. That's basically what we're telling you. And if you do step outside the norms of this game, we will reprimand you for it, and we will try to make you feel as stupid as you possibly can until this.
Yeah, that's what the big smart
dry.
expert money is saying to us.
Well, that's what they're doing on.
Right.
That's basically the point that I was saying about the media is like, yeah, you can go on CNBC, you can go on Fox News, you can go on MSNBC, you can go on CNN. Go ahead and say that we're stupid. That's fine. You can go out there and talk to the people that actually still watch that shit, which we don't, by the way, because we've already seen it for what it is. We haven't swallowed the hook, line, and sinker, to go back to another fishing analogy. And we're finding our own information for ourselves now because we know we can't trust you anymore because you've proven that you can't be trusted. Go ahead.
And we're going to put this on the show notes page, so definitely come over to wmdpodcast.com/46 just to kind of see what exactly we're dealing with. We're going to post an article there. It was on the blog Seeking Alpha, and it was written in, I think, 2014, and it's called The Anatomy of a Short Ladder Attack. And it went in deep detail about when a hedge fund wants to drive a company into bankruptcy so they can get their ill-gotten gains, which are tax-free, and they basically just want to take a bunch of money out of retail and destroy companies and all that kind. Now, granted, we said this in episode 29, and I stand by this now. Short selling itself is not a bad thing. The fact that hedge funds exist is not a bad thing. It is a very healthy thing to weed out corrupt and failing portions of a market that are legitimately failing, and a short just hastens that situation. And that's fine. That's no problem with that at all. It's the abuse of the system, the cheating, the controlling everything. And then when you do get caught with your hand in the cookie jar and you are on the bad side of the bet this time, you need to pay up, just like everybody had to pay up to you all the times before. That would be a fair free market system, but that doesn't exist. So read that article, The Anatomy of a Short Attack, to see how they work with media, how they plant people inside the companies, how they have people pose on message boards as part of your community and try to talk you into selling. Like every single seedy, underhanded thing they do to scare you out of your money. And the apes have just said, we don't read that stuff. We don't care. We're doing our own research. We've come to our own conclusions. Call us stupid, put a 1 cent price target on it, and we'll just laugh all the way to $50.
And I'm going to quote another Batman movie, Batman Begins. And when a forest is overgrown, a purging fire is natural and necessary. And what's happened in this market is the hedge funds have become an overgrown forest. They dictate where everything goes. They dictate where the finances flows. And when you have control over the media and what people hear and what happens within the market on the daily and can control the narrative outside of that, that is dangerous. And what they've finally been called on is their bullshit. We aren't playing by their game because we decided that, no, well, this is our battleground. This is a dumb stock that you thought you'd make some $2 billion profit off of by shorting it. And it was probably a smart bet. I mean, who would have thought that any theater would survive the COVID lockdowns? Smart bet. But this is just the battleground that they chose. So where we're stuck now is, do you, and I'm going to ask you to be soothsayer and future predictor right now, Dane, and I'm going to ask you what happens here, because what I see is either they quit kicking, you can keep kicking the can down the road, but eventually that's just going to amount to you having to pay off more and more billions to you're going to make trillionaires out of dipshit apes and millionaires out of people that just made a bullshit investment, kind of like myself, off of a whim. Or option B, you're going to find some you're going to invent this new rule that says that you don't have to pay, but I can only see that devaluing the faith in the market, which is really the only thing that makes the market work, is the faith that it has fairness within it, that it has a certain system behind it that you have to adhere to.
Yes, and I do want to get into the prognosticating at the end.
Oh, I thought this was the end.
Because I had one thing to close the loop on the dispersed knowledge and experts and kind of thing like that. So here's the thing. When you read that Seeking Alpha article and you see exactly how this can be done and then apply it to what you've seen even on the news, which I guess they're not really showing you that because they don't even talk about the short side of this. That's all fundamentals. They're literally asking, an astrophysicist to give them an opinion on, I don't know, something in the medical field, heart surgery. An astrophysicist to do heart surgery.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
That was so, I don't know why that was so tough. Anyway, you're not in AMC for the fundamental play. You're in because the numbers tell you that a short squeeze is highly likely. That's why you're in.
You're not in it for the fundamentals. You're in it for the principles. You're in it for the principles. Period.
Yes. Some are in it for the principles too.
Some. I thought that was the whole point of this.
Yes.
Because you're finally holding their feet to
Go ahead. Yes. But what I'm saying is, either way, up until recently, we were the quote unquote dumb money because not only could we not get access to the same information they had, it was too hard. Now with the internet, you would not believe some of the research that these stupid apes on these Reddit message boards and, have YouTube channels, the amazing research that they do. And they have everything to back it up with SEC filings, corporate disclosures of, which institutions bought shares and who's selling and this, that. This is deep, in-depth analysis that some of these guys are doing. And they're not all experts. Some of them are 20-something-year-old kids. But the point is, they're working together. It's 3.2 million brains working together on a puzzle. You don't think that puzzle has a better chance of getting figured out than 10 quote-unquote experts at the top? So the dispersed knowledge of the economy, which is only now possible, with the internet age, also allows us to be connected together and work as one. And an amazing thing that brings people together from all different race, religion, nationalities, sexual orientation, everything. Like, these people from completely different walks of life are working together on this one thing. Now, how is that possible? It's because, as David was alluding to, there's something deeper behind it. There's that almost reptilian brain desire for fairness and justice. And that you're looking around and you're watching the SEC, watch porn all day instead of what's blatantly going on to everybody in the whole freaking world and just not doing anything about it. And you're thinking, you know what, we're just going to have to take this into our own hands. We may not have access to the same firepower as them individually, but together, we can own 80%,
but the sum of the
490
whole,
million
the
shares.
sum of the whole is greater than the parts, right? So if you have 32 billion people, or 3.2 billion people invested in this, all working.
3.2 million.
3.2 million. Oh, I thought you said B. Oh, fuck, no, I feel undermanned. Anyway, if you have 3.2 million people working on a project versus, like you said, 10 people, I don't know. And all those 3.2 million do is know the internet and search it out and know it better than those 10 people that are quote unquote experts. Like, again, not to harken back to the COVID thing, but Fauci was an expert all the way until we start digging.
We were doing this episode to avoid COVID.
No, I'm not bringing up COVID. But he's but now all of a sudden their patron saint of COVID is now very quickly falling by the wayside.
From grace.
We're becoming more villain than hero at this point.
Yeah, they'll always prop him up though, but
yeah, they can't be wrong. But anyway, my whole point being is that, like, I trust 3.2 million people to solve a problem a hell of a lot quicker. And again, just to go back to the ethos, if there's 3.2 million people that believe in something, that truly believe in something, it's hard to find something to relegate the other side of the 10 people that say they're so-called experts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually want to extend an olive branch to the socialist side of the spectrum on this thing. Because I know a big thing that you're super worried about is inequality, and you want to redistribute the wealth and all that kind of stuff, and fine, whatever. Politicians have been promising you that for years. How's that working out? That's neither here nor there. What I'm here to pitch to you is what you're witnessing going on with this apes versus institutions, war on Wall Street right now, is you are witnessing in real time the single largest redistribution of wealth in human history. And you're seeing it done without force. Like, the SEC is not enforcing anything, God forbid. Nobody is on the ape side. The media is against them. All of the experts, obviously, everybody who doesn't know too much about the situation says you're crazy, whatever. Like, everybody's against them. And they are playing the game better than the established players. And they're saying, all right, we're going to put you on the wrong side of a bet that gives a lot of us all your ill-gotten gains that you've gotten over the years.
And if I may, if you feel the slightest modicum of sympathy for them, just remember that these aren't the exact people, but this is the same mentality, again, that happened in 2008, where these banks that made all these illegitimate practices and all these fraudulent executions that eventually led to the collapse of the housing market, that then said that they were too big to fail. And then they got bailouts, and the understanding of those bailouts was that it would trickle down to the common man, and it didn't. They just paid themselves off and moved down the road, and the common man got. But hold on. If I may, if I can complete this theory. Like, this is the retribution. This is the common man finally standing up for themselves on a platitude that they finally can. So if you shed one crocodile tear for them, fine. I'll accept a crocodile tear. But these guys aren't going to go away. If the hedge fund goes away, guess what? They get absorbed by another one. They get absorbed by another one over here. They get 50% of the people that were working there go to another hedge fund. 50% go to the other hedge fund. Like, they don't go away. They just become a different conglomerate. So the only thing that happens here is a Robin Hood syndicate, is what you were saying.
Okay. But I just don't want anybody to listen to us and think that we are saying the banks were the beginning of 2008.
No, I never made that.
Their actions that they were taking were incentivized by government policy. And then when they got too big and failed, government policy did not, quote unquote, regulate them as they were growing and engaging in some of these practices.
And by the way,
but they had a revolving door between the regulators and the banks. And so they looked the other way on regulation the whole time. And then when it all came crashing down, the politicians and government had the audacity to say, this all happened because of the free market. This all happened because of greedy bankers. This all happened because of lack of regulation. That is not the case. At the time of the collapse, there were 111 different financial institute or regulatory structures over financial institutions to participate in the economy at that time. But it's all the free market's fault, and it's never the government's fault. So I did want to tie that together because that's what the entire Occupy Wall Street, the eat the rich, the 1% versus the 99, all that bull crap came out of 2008 because the government successfully turned an entire half of the population to say it's the bank's fault, it's the greedy individuals, it's a lack of government oversight. And so that's a key important to make if you're going to bring up 2008.
Okay, I was holding my breath this entire time because I was afraid I was going to lose my point. And Dane exactly set me up. And he put the baseball on the tee, and I'm going to knock this one out of the park. And if you think the government isn't involved in this particular movement, what happened not 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? Do you remember the Fed gave a 1-day loan to these hedgies to a tune of $400 billion on the same day that the banks were going to come in and make sure they had the liquidity to cover their short positions.
Yeah.
So if you think the government isn't involved in this shit, this isn't just the hedgies. This is the whole system, bro.
The whole cathedral.
We're bringing down the system, bro.
It's the whole cathedral. It's them. It's the government. As David was just saying, it's the media that they control to put out hit pieces on AMC, GameStop, yada, 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 the movement in general. It's everything. This is what we were talking about on the other, cathedral stuff like COVID and things like that, is that when everybody starts speaking from the same script all at once, no matter where you turn, and it's always this same opinion with almost the same vernacular and syntax, that's when your ears should perk up and say, I think there's fuckery afoot. And I think I'm the first one to cuss in this episode.
Fuckery afoot.
Shame on me.
Well, again.
And that's what the apes are here to do. Point out the fuckery.
So, again, to harken back to all these, when you hear about free speech, when you hear about gun laws, when you hear about things like this, when everybody starts repeating the same vernacular, that's exactly what you said, Dane. That's when the red flag should go up. That's when your ears should start perking. Like, how many times after these school shootings do you hear, do you really need an AR-15? What does that have to do with the price of rice in China? I want an AR-15. And if you think that the narrative isn't compliance, it's not forceful compliance, it's subjugated compliance. It's your neighbor saying you should do this. And just for you to go along with it so you don't make waves, you coalesce. Well, this time, we're not coalescing. How many times have you been told, have you shared your AMC stock investment with anybody in your, outside of the people that you're trying to convince to go in with you?
Wait a minute.
Hold on.
I'm not convincing anybody to go in with me.
This is
not financial advice. No, I'm
persuading.
not. This is nothing I say to anybody is ever financial
Jesus
advice.
Christ.
I'm laying out the facts.
Backtracking Dane, just like always.
I'm
anyway,
laying out the facts.
It's not. It's
and then
fine.
I'm letting people come to their own conclusions.
Oh, do you let? Okay. Anyway, parlance aside, how many people have you shared your investments with? And how many, I don't even need the answer. And how many of those people, if any, have told you to de-invest right now? Because this is as high as it will ever go.
How many people have I talked to it verbally? Hardly any. But come on, I share a lot of memes on my Instagram, and everybody who follows me, it's only like a couple hundred people, if that even. They have an opportunity to see it. So is it obvious and out there? Yes, but have I talked about it in depth with people? Very few.
Okay, so I've done the exact opposite. I've shared my views and the reason why I've done it with a couple of people that I view as pretty intelligent people. And a lot of them have said like, all right, well, you should get out now because like this thing isn't going anywhere. It's like, you told me back when I went in at $9 that if I made it to 12 to de-invest. Like, you agreed with me to go in, but now you're saying that this is the top. But I'm saying that these people that made me invest in the first place are doubling down on their corruption and trying to get out of it. And you're telling me now that I need to de-invest in this. Like, what to what point? Like, if I de-invest, it shows that I was only in it for the money.
Sell.
Right.
Super complicated word.
You're
like de-investing, like you're selling.
Well, no, I'm de-investing in the protestment. I'm de-investing in what the whole reason that got in. No, I'm using that word specifically to illustrate the emotion behind it. Like, no. They're saying like, pull it out now, take your money and run. It's like, that's not what this is about. If we make millions, sweet fucking billies, we are going to make this podcast pop like firecrackers. But like, until that point, like, this is, again, it's not about the money. It's about sending a message. Like, we finally caught you at your own game. Now you can either fork it over, and like we said before, you can either pull it out of your pockets, or you can pull down the entire system that you have been running for so long. The choice is yours, and they keep trying to kick the can down the road. It's not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. It's time to put up or shut up, and that shut up means the downfall of Western society as we know it, or at least a reconfiguring.
I mean, you're right. It could be cataclysmic, and I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't want the listeners to think that I was sidestepping your prediction question about how this all shakes out. So I think there's three options that they have. I think there's option one, which they absolutely will not take, is to say, you know what? You rigid free marketeers are right. We're going to let the market work. We're going to step aside. We're going to let these guys get crushed under the weight,
hubris,
under the weight of their own bad bets, and that's going to wash out the bad decision makers or the corrupt ones. We're going to let the market work. They won't do that. The other end of the spectrum, the extreme end, is exactly what you're talking about, with shaking the faith in the system so much that an entire generation or two, probably millennials and Zs,
I don't think they give a fuck,
will never invest in the market again if you take this route. And this route is to completely rig it, just like they did in 2008 for the malfeasers there. And they'll make sure that they either bail them out or we don't get as much as we're entitled to or whatever. I think
you mean like Social Security?
Right. I think what they do, because again, for that explicit reason, they cannot risk turning two or more entire generations off from investing in the market. Because at the end of the day, that's a lot of liquidity that keeps this gravy train rolling. So they won't do that. Middle option. They're going to let some scapegoats take their whips. Will it be Citadel? I don't know. Will it be Melvin Capital? I don't know. Maybe it'll be some smaller ones that aren't as well connected. Maybe it'll be them. They're going to let them get completely liquidated. They're still not going to have enough to pay it. And then the insurance that they have to get to be able to run is going to end up picking up the tab.
Well,
and so we'll get paid as much. We'll get paid a lot more, maybe enough to have our bread and circuses and shut up. If that's what we're in it for, is just money and not proving a point. But they're not going to pay us what we truly, truly are owed. And that is a lot more than they'll actually pay in a free system that doesn't allow this to happen. We won't get that. Even then, we're not leaving.
well, all I'll say to that, which is a bleak analysis, but it seems kind of on point, is that don't let that lesson fall on deaf ears. Like, don't let AMC be the rainbow in the dark, so to speak, as Dio would call it. Like, let this be a lesson to you. Let this open the eye. Hopefully, this opens the eyes of the up and coming generation. Hopefully, this opens the eyes to like the people that used to listen to Fox News business, that used to listen to CNN business, that used to listen to MSN, CNS, whatever conglomerate that you were getting your business acumen from. They don't have your best interests in mind. They're paying themselves by telling you what to do. And this is finally the time that they are getting their nuts held to the fire, that they were absolutely wrong, that the market decided that they were wrong. And again, I can't stress this enough. Like, we're almost putting it on the hedges, on the other hedges, hedge funds, to hold this hedge fund accountable for their own sake.
Yeah.
Exactly. We've checkmated them. Like, you either take care of this shit and pay us, or you will cripple our financial wherewithal within this country and within the world. Not just forget being able to buy steak. The world runs on the US dollar. If we cripple this market, the US dollar value drops dramatically. And now we are not the world's superpower. So this is the checkmate. Are you going to pay us in this free market that you claim is free, or are you going to defund America?
What they're going to try to do when this is all over is they're going to try to do one of two things. Maybe
Blame us. They're going to blame us, aren't they?
Exactly.
Yep.
Maybe a combination of both. They're going to make this just a historical footnote, an oddity to maybe be discussed
Like
around,
2008.
around fancier, dinners from time to time. They'll say, "Oh, don't you remember the Dutch tulip bowl bubble and all that kind of stuff?" So they'll say, "Oh yeah, isn't that just a quaint little historical oddity?" And they're going to try to pass this off as that. This time when the meme stocks, took over the market. They're just going to try to pass it off as a joke. Or they're going to do exactly what you said first, is they're going to point all of the finger, again, 2008, when a politician or a bureaucrat who has had control over the system from start to finish, and yet somehow still it magically went a wire, and they say, I think it's the free market's fault. When you hear them say that, even if you're I hate property commie or socialist, when they're saying it's the free market's fault, that's code word for you stupid rubes didn't follow the plan. And what did Heath Ledger's Joker say about a plan? David, I know you have that quote right in the top of your head.
Gordon's got plans. You had plans. Batman has plans. I just take your little plans and flip them on their head. I'm just a dog chasing license plates. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught one. The only true vision is chaos. Let the chaos reign.
The quote I was asking you for was the one where he says a shoulder or a soldier gets blown up. That's fine, because it's all part of the plan. I figured plan was going to give it away.
Take it back.
Yes.
Take two.
Take two.
Mark.
Jesus. Action.
I tell you, a soldier will get blown up in Afghanistan, a tanker will get bombed, and no one bats an eye. But I tell you, one little broodmare will get murdered, and everyone loses their minds. It's because it's all part of the plan. Dane.
So,
go ahead, please.
The takeaway, the principle, what binds the apes together is the fact that if they don't understand, if they don't take away from this experience that we are not settling for anything other than an altering of the plan, and an altering of the plan that holds the people who did what they did accountable and not point it at the free market or the average individual stupid rube as it's their fault that it all came crashing down. If they don't take that lesson away from it and fix it this time, instead of mortgaging our unborn kids' futures with immense debt to bail out the bad actors, if they pull something like that again, I say, we are not leaving.
Again, the only problem we have with their plan is they didn't include us. They included themselves. They included they included the cathedral, but they didn't include us. But they forgot the fact that we are what gives them power. Again, to go back to what we always say, like stealing a quote from V for Vendetta, people should not be afraid of their government. The government should be afraid of their people. Because their power is derived from us. And whenever you hear that they have more power than us, that's them bolstering. That's the loud guy at the bar saying that he'll beat everyone's ass. That guy has no fucking idea what's about to happen to him. He has no idea the level of assassins that are in that bar. We are assassins.
Wait a minute.
Wait, what? League of Assassins? League of Shadows?
Jeez.
Come on, I'm bringing it back to Batman.
You gotta call that a movie. You can't just walking around saying we're assassins. Something bad happens to somebody.
That's right.
They're gonna be
God damn it, my cleaning company is totally... I'm going to have to restart as an actual cleaning company.
Going to jail.
Oh, for crime.
David, you know what? When you're in the cell across from me at the black site, I'm going to be very upset.
I'm going to be blaming you because you should have gotten us out of this thing. Or at least known somebody who could.
That's funny. You think law matters when you wind up at a CIA
We're
black
terrorists.
site. Anyway, I think the point has been driven home. Don't underestimate the dispersed knowledge of the economy.
And include us in your plans next time. We're not asking for a lot. We're not asking for a lot. Just when you make the new plan after you've had your feet held to the fire and have charcoal feet, just include us in the next plan and we'll be fine.
Just make sure that whether you're big or small, rich or poor, or anything in between, if you make a bad bet or you screw up, you have the same personal accountability than if we did.
Sure.
If this trade blows up in our face, ain't nobody coming to bail us out.
Hey, when do I get my investment money back? When do I get my investment money back? Because I was so fucking foul.
So
anyway, so Dane, where can they find us?
They can find us at wmdpodcast.com/46. Can also find it on YouTube and all the podcast catchers. Link up with us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Drop us comments. Tell us you like us. Tell us you don't. But whatever you do, just tell us you want to be free.
Are we still doing the stereo thing on Wednesdays?
We're going to try. If you've been looking for us the last 2 Wednesdays, we apologize. We don't know if something happened with the app's algorithm, because when we first started using it, we would just start talking and people would come across the conversation and they would like it or they wouldn't, and they would engage or not. Now that's not even happening. We start talking, nobody.
We've been slapped with private.
We haven't done anything different.
We don't know how to find a way out of private.
Yeah, so, we haven't done anything different. So until we figure that out,
hashtag Shadowban.
You might not be able to find us. Yeah, we might. That might be us as well. You might not find us on stereo Wednesday night at 7s, but check in anyway. If you get a notification, we're there. Drop by, say hi.
Yeah, just coalesce. Otherwise,
with that being said, oh Jesus, 2 commutes. I really thought this was going to be a shorter one.
Yeah, you said that.
Anyway, I think we should probably shorten it right here, right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're dragging it on now.
I know. Shut up, Dane. Okay, thanks. Bye.